You are listening to One Happy Podcast, episode 73. So joining me today on One Happy Podcast is Marie Gehrman of New Life. Hold on, let me start that again.
It's New Life.
That's one of those things that I'll edit out.
Yep, here you go.
Bon dia, and welcome to One Happy Podcast, the officially unofficial podcast of the island of Aruba. As always, I'm your host, Curtis Robinson, aka Aruba Kurt. And after taking a brief break, I want to thank you guys so much for downloading and listening to this latest episode of the show, which is going to be fantastic because today I'm being joined by a very special guest who you might remember from previous episodes of the show, Marie Gehrman of New Life for Paws and Aruba Flight Volunteer. Now, if you remember from the previous episodes, Marie is heavily involved in Aruba animal rescue. I first met Marie probably about a year ago, and we did a podcast. And since then, we did another one. This is her third, I believe. And since it's been so long since the last time I talked to her, I figured I would catch up with her about what's going on the island in the area of animal rescue. Because, as we all know, it is a problem on Aruba. But over the past couple of years, things have started to look up thanks to organizations like the ones that Marie works with, and also the ARF, which is the Animal Relief Foundation of Aruba. And there are many others, but those are the two that I'm most familiar with. And they all do incredible work. And now about that cold open to start the show, it's a little different than what we normally do. Normally it's a blurb from somewhere in the podcast, but I figured I would include that one just so people can see that, hey, you know what? We all make mistakes. I actually made that mistake probably about 3 seconds after saying to Marie that we wouldn't need to edit this episode because it's going to go perfect. And as you can see, it did not go perfect, at least at the very beginning. But everything after that did go well, and I had a great time catching up with Marie. I learned a lot about what's going on in the island and some new initiatives that are coming down the pike. Very exciting stuff if you're an animal lover or just someone that loves Aruba in general, because by helping the animals, you are actually helping Aruba. So I hope you enjoy this interview with Marie, which is starting in 3, 2, and 1. So joining me today on One Happy Podcast is Marie Gehrman of New Life for Paws and also Aruba Flight Volunteers. So how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
And today we're going to talk all about these organizations and the wonderful work they do down on Aruba. But before we get started on that, why don't you tell the people listening a little bit about yourself?
Well, when I was younger, I took a vacation to Aruba as a teenager. And I ended up meeting somebody there on my vacation. And to make a really long story short, I ended up getting married to him and starting a business there, and also seeing the situation with all of the animals in Aruba, all the homeless, starving animals. And I found that there was no laws in Aruba to protect them. There were puppies being born everywhere, homeless on the streets. And it really stuck with me as a young girl. And as the years passed, I tried my best to take care of whatever I could, just as one person. It was, I didn't really make that much of a dent, but I tried my best just being alone. And I used to bring food to the dump, to the puppies that were born at the dump, and there were hundreds of them. And I just felt that once I left Aruba after being there for about 10 years, I knew that one day in my life I would want to come back and try to help and do whatever I could to make some changes there. And that's where I am now. Many years have passed, and I'm here now trying my best to make a lot of positive changes for all the animals there.
Right, because how many stray animals would you estimate live on Aruba?
Probably thousands.
Right.
Probably thousands. 2 unsterilized animals make thousands in a year.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they say 67,000 in maybe 6 years, something like that. They have charts that you can look at It's
Mm-hmm.
a lot. And being that Aruba is a warm island, they can survive.
Right.
I think that uh, they survive better in the heat than they would freezing to death, in other parts
Mm-hmm.
of the world. So yeah, they just make puppies and puppies and puppies, and then and cats too. Cats are a huge problem. I
Mm-hmm.
say all the time, cats are probably a bigger problem than dogs. They just hide better.
Right.
Um, so yeah, and then those puppies that are born after a very short time, they are able to get pregnant too. I think by
Mm-hmm.
maybe 6 or 7 months, they're able to have their own puppies.
And then the cycle just
Yes,
continues over and over
it
again.
just keeps
And
going, and and they suffer there because being, Aruba's a desert island. The ticks are just horrific there.
mm-hmm.
They just get on them and they eat them alive. And you'll see them, inside of their ears. There are so many in their ears when we find them that they are sometimes deaf. We had a case a while back that we found this young adult boy. We named him Lucky, and we found him. He was just, I mean, the worst. His blood level was 7%, and he had, probably a million ticks on him.
Mm-hmm.
We never saw such a thing. I mean, I'm sure that there's others on the island like that, but we just, we took him on, and I didn't think that he was going to survive. And the vet said, that he would take him, and he did survive. And it was a long road, and of course he was heartworm positive also. But he ended up in a beautiful home in Massachusetts, and I just saw on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
a picture of him in front of the Christmas tree, and it's amazing to see where they've come from, and where they get to be once we rescue them and get them healthy and get them off the island. So
Right. And there's thousands of stories just like that.
there are thousands, and we have a little tiny team in Aruba. It's really tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we would love for it to grow, but it's hard because people in Aruba, just like everywhere, everybody's busy and they work and they have their families, and and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people in Aruba, they do really love the dogs and cats of the island. They do love them, but you know there's such a problem there that it takes dedication,
Right.
of
And not everyone does have the time.
right. They don't have the time. They just don't have the time. So we have our one girl that does all of it, and then we have a couple of helpers, not many,
Mm-hmm.
and we have just a handful of fosters, not many at all, and we have a lot of dogs that need help. So it's hard for us because I'm here in New York, and I handle the Aruba Flight Volunteers Facebook page, which is now over 4,000 people, which
Oh,
is
nice.
very exciting. We started out a while ago, and I didn't realize how fast it was going to grow, but
Mm-hmm.
people really share our stories, and when they travel through the airport with the puppies, we give them little business cards, and they can hand them out to people.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have a puppy, people, they look and they're like, what are you doing? And how did you get this puppy? And they're confused because why would you have a puppy? You brought a puppy on vacation, or and when they find out that it's a little rescue and what we do, they want to get involved too. So it's grown so much, and I'm so
Mm-hmm. I know I
happy.
send people there whenever I can.
Yes, thank you. It's really a great thing, and people, especially the kids love it. Um, you get a lot of attention when you have a little puppy, and people will, they feel like they can just walk right up to you and they want to pet them and talk and find out what you're doing, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just great. The word has spread so much, and it just brings so many people to us to help us. And people want to donate, they want to adopt, they want to foster, they want to see where they can help. And we have people that come, on vacation now. They will come really just to help us, and it's a wonderful thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
So, would you say the biggest problem is just the unchecked procreation of animals on the island?
yes, that's definitely the biggest problem. And we need more help in Aruba. That's
Hmm.
our big problem. And also we don't have enough fosters.
Right.
So we have a lot of people. The tourists will call us a lot, and they'll say, sorry, we have, the tourists will call and they'll say we're on the side of the road by whatever hotel or whatever
Hmm.
restaurant, and there's 4 adults here, and one looks pregnant, and the other one has skin disease, and one has a broken leg, and they just go on, and they'll always let us know that they are, waiting at the corner, and that they'll stay until we can get there,
Hmm.
and I'll say, okay, I'm going to get there. I won't get there, but I'll send somebody for you. And then what are we doing with 4 adult dogs? And, you know,
Right.
we don't have the money and we don't have any
Hmm.
place to put them.
Hmm.
The ones that we do rescue, um, we want to rescue all of them. We're always full, where we keep our dogs, we're always full, over
Right.
full all the time. But taking on the adults is really, really hard. So we try to get the adults that are on the street we try to spay and neuter them, and then
Hmm.
we have to release them
Release them.
back to where they were. But a lot of times, you pick them up, and Aruba dogs are so friendly.
Hmm.
They're so sweet, and they get picked up, and it's like they're rescued. They look at you,
Hmm.
and they're like, if they could talk, they would say, you're rescuing me, and they're so happy. And you get them fixed, and then you have to drive them back to the spot where they were staying.
Right, and that's what breaks your heart.
It's horrifying to let them go like that. They still have stitches and things, it's
Hmm.
not like here they have their little cone and all that stuff, and everybody, is so worried, and they take care of them, and you got to put them back on the street. They're going to be in the dirt. We
Hmm.
have no place to put them. If we keep them, a few nights at the vet just to let them heal the right way, we don't have the money to board them like that, and the
Right.
vets themselves don't have the room to keep them.
Right, because there's just so many coming and going.
Right. So we have to let them go. So the problem that we've had recently is that we have not been letting them go, because a lot of them have been really sick, and
Hmm.
so then you try to keep them and nurse them back to health to let them go. And by that time, you already fall in love with them. You give them a name, and they depend on you. And
Hmm.
to take them in the car and bring them back, you just it's just really, really horrifying. So right now we have a few foster homes, and we have one place that we're using somebody's garden in their backyard.
Hmm.
Somebody that said, you can use my space. Um, they did not want us to tell people where it is, because
Right.
we don't want people dumping dogs there, because that's what will start
Right.
to happen. As soon as they know that you have a place, they will start to bring their dogs there. And,
Hmm.
we want to help everybody, but we can't take on everything. So, with that agreement, we were able to use this area. So we put up our exercise pens. Those are like the metal pens that we have on
Hmm.
our Amazon wish list, and we made different areas for them, because you have to keep the puppies separate from each other. You can't mix litters in case
Right.
somebody's sick. You don't want to put anybody together. So we have a good sized piece of property. So we have everybody really, really separated. But it's outside.
Right. It's not an actual shelter.
Right. No, it's not an actual shelter at all. It's outside. Of course.
So it's more or less just space that you're able to use.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
It's basically a plot of land that is just dirt that
Hmm.
we're able to use, and it's really not a safe place for them. Um, we were doing okay for a little while. Our main problem was centipedes and also snakes.
Hmm.
So when you have
Right, because Aruba has a boa problem.
yep. Mhm. So when you have newborn babies there, if a snake comes in, they can take a couple of the puppies. So that's happened to us before. And also the giant centipedes and scorpions are there also, and they kill the small puppies as well. So, and it's a piece of property where we're not there. So, in the morning when you come to feed and clean and do everything you have to do, somebody goes, 2 to 3 times a day, and it takes hours to clean everything. We want it to be spotless. I mean, everything is really clean and in order, and we have a little shed area that we keep our medicines and food and things like that. So, everything is really, really clean. To clean up all of the poop is a lot of work. So, we pick all of that up and we take it away.
And how many volunteers do you have working down in Aruba?
We have Natalia, that's our main girl, and we have Zoe, who was a foster mommy that became more involved because she saw that there was a very big need for help. So she's our main girl too, and we have Stacy, who does our website and also is a rescuer too. She helps so much, but she's not always on the island.
Right.
And then we have maybe 3 or 4 foster homes, and that's it.
So never enough help.
Oh my gosh, never enough. We need so many people.
Right.
The foster homes, it's hard to find foster homes. You want people,
and that's understandable because sometimes one member of the household will be on board, but the other members might not be. So
right. You have people that are allergic. You have people that don't have a fenced-in yard. It's not safe. They might want to take them, but when we do a home check, if we do a home check and it's not a safe place, we can't put them there.
Right.
So what we are going to try to do now, we are going to try to raise money for a piece of property. We have seen a couple that we have to make sure that we're allowed to build something. We would like to build a shelter and have a safe place to put all of our rescues.
Right. So right now you have a plot of land that you use, but what you want to do is move to a permanent facility that actually has 4 walls and a roof.
Exactly. And, a place that we can keep everything clean because, there's so many things. The dogs can be sick, and it's, we have to keep them separated. We have to have isolation rooms and certain type of floor, I would imagine tile, so we can bleach and hose down and
right.
And the main thing is it's got to be clean as can be and in order. So, we need a place like that. We cannot continue like this. We had recently in Aruba where it doesn't normally rain. The rainy season, is usually, it rains, but nothing like what just recently happened.
Right. This year it was brutal.
Yes. We had so much rain that houses and cars went under the water. And our little area that we had our property went underwater as well. And Natalia was trying to get there the morning that this was all happening, and the roads were flooded and she couldn't get there. So by the time she got there, we lost a lot of our rescues, and we have a lot of adults there, so they were able to climb up on some rocks.
Right,
and,
but the puppies,
we did lose a few puppies, and the adults got very sick also from the rain. Some of them that weren't able to get up onto the rocks, they were actually like in the water, up to their necks.
Right.
And it was really, really horrific for us, and very, very stressful. And it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. We do so much work to make the island better for everybody. I say it all the time. The tourists don't want to see this. They don't want to come to Aruba and see animals suffering on the side of the road. my husband here in New York, his whole family is in Aruba, and so he always looks at the newspaper, the Diario and Aruba Today, and all the different newspapers, and he will show me all the time in the newspaper. They have, car accidents, and you will see a dog involved in the car accident. A dog will run out in front of the car, and the car, will try to avoid. Hopefully, will try to avoid, and ends up crashing. And you'll see, they show in Aruba. They show. The newspapers really show everything. They'll show the people in the car, hurt, and they'll show the dead dog in the road. So. Just the other day, he showed me a man laying in the middle of the road that was, I don't know if he was killed. It looked like he was, from a motorcycle accident, and then they showed the dead dog in front of him. The dogs are, especially the males, when they, have a female that's in heat, they will run, they will escape their yard, or if they're homeless, they're running anyway. And they're everywhere. And especially in the evening when it gets a drop cooler, they come out and they chase the cars. They're on the roads. It's not safe for the people living in Aruba. And it's not good for the tourists to see all of this happening. And they don't really see too much because the hotels, they try to keep it in check there.
Right. Tourism is the island's main business, so they kind of have to shelter us from that sort of thing.
So people don't really see too much. They do see them, around the shopping areas and things like that, and people feed them and they give them water, and they try to be, I would say all the tourists, love the animals, and they don't want to know anything that's happening, and the ones that do know what's happening, they do get involved. But I saw, recently on a Facebook page, somebody was writing something about how, the dogs are all over the beach, and, she was very annoyed by it. And,
I saw that same post.
And I don't have time to get involved in any of it, but I wanted to say, they're hungry. They're hungry. They're starving. You kicking sand at them, or throwing rocks or shells or whatever at them, and complaining about them and saying that they smell and they're disgusting. They are, they're living and breathing little creatures. They have feelings, and they hurt, they have pain, and they're hungry, and they're hot, and it's just sad to see that some of the tourists do feel that way. But I don't think that person was necessarily malicious. I think there was a lack of understanding of the situation that goes on, so it was kind of shocking for them to see that. Yeah. But I think if they had a full understanding of the situation on the island, they would be a little bit more compassionate. Maybe they would understand better. Right, exactly. I didn't see the whole thing go on, but I just had seen that, and it just made me feel so sad, because it's like they're talking about my children,
Right.
Those are those are our rescues that are out there that we're, trying to save. So, but yeah, they probably didn't understand, and that's, but, that's where I would like, Aruba's government to see, look at the tourists getting upset, because really tourism is the main thing in Aruba. They should want to keep their customers, because they are customers.
Right.
They should want to, really keep them as happy as possible, so that they always come back, and that they spread the word how wonderful Aruba is. You don't want people spreading the word saying, I didn't want to go there because there's, ever again, because there's dogs everywhere, and, all these horrible things, and that the people of Aruba don't care about their animals, because that makes them sound like they're not, good people.
Right. I think there's a lack of understanding for just how much we care for our animals here in the U.S. Right. I don't think they necessarily grasp just how important.
Right. That's very true. But a lot of them do love the animals. They do. They just don't know how to help or what to do. The way that I was there as a young girl, I didn't know what to do. I was taking it on by myself. I didn't think to go to the government or call anybody who was there to call. There was no such thing as the internet at that time.
Right.
So I was just kind of doing it by myself. But I think I love Aruba so much. My family is there. My husband's family is all there. There's, I have a lot of people and a lot of friends there, and of course my rescue ladies, and I adore Aruba. I just want things to change.
Right.
And
Well, for a long time in Aruba, animals didn't matter, but now I get the feeling that they do.
Yes.
The problem is so large that it's going to take a while to fix, but I really do think that now people actually care.
I do too. And I think that, they're seeing a lot more. And, I think there's so many Facebook pages now that show, the pictures and ask for help, and you see people responding, yes, I can help, and where can I donate? And the local people will go to the vet and bring money to the vet bill that we have, that's never ending. They'll put money down, and they try to help, and even if it's a little bit, it doesn't matter. It's showing that they care.
It all adds up.
Yes, and it all adds up, and they bring food. A lot of times we have puppies that are in such bad shape they need a food called recovery food, and it's so expensive, and they'll bring cases of it to the vet to, bring to us. So, it's really good to see. And I think that there are a lot of changes happening, and a lot of groups are helping. There's other organizations that are doing, really wonderful things, and I think in some time we'll really start to see the changes. There's also a trapping team that works at the dump, and really, really wonderful group of people that have dedicated their lives to crawling around in the dump, which nobody wants to do that. It's a horrific job, and this small group of people, they have raised money, and they've bought these really great catch cages, and they catch them, and they bring them in, and they get them spayed and neutered, and they do bring them back to the dump because they really have no place to put them. Every once in a while, if it's puppies, they try to reach out to have them, adopted, and they just do such a great job. And they recently contacted me and asked me if it would be okay to put my name on one of the catch cages to honor, what I do. So
nice.
I have a cage that's named after me, and New Life for Paws, and it was sponsored by another lady that has donated a lot towards them. So that was a real honor. And they're called the Criollo Trappers.
Okay.
You'll see stuff on Facebook about them. So when people see that too, it would be great if you could support them too, because they're the ones that are really, making a change.
Right, they're on the ground doing the work.
They're doing the spaying and neutering.
Now I want to talk about donations again, because you had mentioned that previously. Your organization specifically, how would someone go about making a donation to New Life for Paws?
Well, we just became a 501c3 in the United States, which is a pretty exciting
So what's that mean?
It means that your donations are tax deductible, and it means that, I'm hoping that bigger companies will now be able to donate to us, and it just happened recently.
Nice, very, very nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. That was a really big deal for us.
Yeah, it is.
We've always been a legal foundation in Aruba, so, but now this is just a whole other part that will help us so much.
Right.
We have different fundraisers that we put up. We have something called, right now, a You Caring. It's like a GoFundMe, and it's called a Spay a Day, which people donate towards us catching a stray animal and getting them in to be spayed or neutered and then put back on the street. So we do that. We try to catch, as many as we can. Sometimes we bring in 5 at a time, and then we don't bring in, for a few days. But we try our best to concentrate on the spaying and neutering because that's what's going to make the change. And then in the process of that, of course, we find all the puppies. But, if everybody could concentrate on the spaying and neutering, that's what would really make the changes. So,
right, because, that's going to be the only way to actually stop the problem, to actually fix the problem.
Right, exactly. It's hard,
because
you see the puppies and the kittens, and we, then we'll rescue them, and then, because we're such a small team in Aruba, your time goes towards the care of the puppies, and you can't get back out on the street to, catch, you want to try to spend your time doing that, but you have other responsibilities and feeding everybody that we do have at the shelter, and
right,
it's a lot.
Now, back in April, you guys had a spay and neuter campaign come to the island, right?
Yes, we had Animal Balance come to Aruba for, I think it was for 5 days. They spayed and neutered almost 400 animals. And they concentrated on the dump, and also people were allowed to bring their animals in. It was the first time we did it, so I don't know if Aruba had ever done it before, but it was the first one that I was ever involved with. So it was a lot of setting up and a lot of taking down everything that was set up, so a lot of time was spent on that. I wish that they could have stayed longer. We probably needed 2 weeks. That would have been nice, but it just doesn't work that way. People can't stay that long. But we had vets come from everywhere, and they did all of the spaying and neutering at a jail, a prison that is just not being used. So we were able to use a lot of the jail cells and things to put the different puppies in, and we had lots of cages. My husband took off work and flew down and built a lot of the recovery cages. A lot of volunteers built even more recovery cages because so many needed to be built. And a lot of the Aruba people came together and really made it very successful.
Nice.
It was great.
So on a scale of like 1 to 10, how impactful would you say that campaign was?
Well, seeing them all come in, you don't realize even how many in that time that they could catch and get in there, but we did do almost 400 in that time. So, if you do the math, I don't have my calculator in front of me, but 2 animals in 5 or 6 years makes 67,000. So, almost.
So you saved a bunch of lives.
We saved, maybe 100,000 lives, something crazy.
Right.
A lot.
Right.
A lot, but it's so crazy that there's so many more. They were caught the night before a lot of times, so then they would be ready for surgery the next day. So, very soon after we opened the doors for the spay and neuter, there was a sign put outside that said we're full. So we did have to turn away a lot of the local people that wanted to come in and, get their animals done. So we did take a lot of names. I know that one lady did take a lot of names, and she continued to contact them even after Animal Balance left to try to get them in, and we raised money to, still do it for free for them.
Right.
So because I think a lot of the people want to get it done, and they do understand, but they truly don't have the money to do it. So it's, the education is a big part of it, and New Life for Paws, recently started to go into the schools, and we would bring in a couple of puppies, and Natalia would go with Zoe, our other foster mommy, and she would go in, Zoe would go in because she can speak Papiamento, and she would do a presentation. They had a big, maybe a whiteboard and a something to show like little slides of pictures, and discussing with the kids how important it is to bring your animals to the vet, and have just their basic needs like their flea and tick medicine, and feeding them, like having like a schedule to feed them dog food, not just scraps from your plate, and of course getting them spayed and neutered and explaining to them, to talk to their parents about it, because, if the kids come home and say, listen, I learned this in school today, maybe the parents would be open to listen to their own children. And we would have them bring in some donation if they could, a can of dog food or a can of cat food or whatever they could bring in. And each child would go up at the end of the presentation and bring their can of food, and they would take a picture with one of the puppies and pet the puppy and get to talk a little bit one-on-one with the ladies. And I think it made a really big impact on a lot of them.
Right, and you're probably not even seeing what the impact is going to be until years down the road.
Right, exactly. We had one little boy that came in and he had forgotten to bring in his donation, and he was so upset at the end of it. He went up to them and he was crying, and he said that he didn't bring anything. He didn't remember the can of dog food, and he was so sad. He said, but he has a guilder, one guilder, that's like 50 cents, and it's for his ice cream for the day. So he said, I'm going to give you my guilder so you can, that's my donation. You know, but he was little, a little kid, like, you know, so that we know right there that that little boy, you know, is going to be a loving,
right,
you know,
he gets it.
He's a loving little kid, you know, that's going to take care of the animals when he gets older. You know, so
right.
to see the kids listening and wanting to help, I think really makes a big difference too. So we try to do that.
That's where the change is going to happen.
Right.
With the youngsters.
Right. So we try to do that, and the teachers love it. So the teachers tell the other teachers in the other schools. So, you know, now we're getting phone calls asking when we can come in.
Nice.
And, you know, so we would love to go across the island and get to every school and every class at every age, even the older kids.
Right.
You know, but it takes time, and we need people to volunteer to help us.
Now, is there another spay neuter campaign planned?
Yes. We are going to do, I believe, different phases of fundraising. The first fundraiser we're going to put up very soon, within the next week or so. We would like to raise money to buy a piece of property. We have a couple in mind that we have seen, and we're starting to shop around just so we know about how much it's going to cost, so we know how much to put the fundraiser goal for. We're going to try to do that first, raise for the piece of property. And of course it has to be in the right area where it's not in a, you know, residential area.
Right, right.
You know, having a lot of dogs barking and things like that, we have to make sure we're in the right spot, and I'm sure we need all kinds of permits to be able to, you know, build this. So we're going to do all of our research and make sure we're in the right spot, and then we would like to raise the money and buy our piece of property. And then from there, we're going to ask people, we'll do another fundraiser, and we're going to ask people to come and help us build it. So, you know, different people in the United States that know how to build. I don't know if that's allowed yet. Like, this is all just really in the beginning stages. And once we're at the point of actually building the shelter, we're going to ask people to donate. I don't know how much we're going to ask for, but we're going to have paw prints made with their name of their dog or their name or whatever they would like. And we're going to make the building with the aqua blue color of New Life for Paws logo. And we're going to make aqua blue paw prints everywhere from all the people that donate towards our shelter.
Oh, that'll be pretty nice.
So that's what we're planning to do. It's all in the works. And, of course, we're going to need to raise, I don't know how much, but probably a lot.
Loads of money.
Yes. But I think with, you know, all the people that we have on our Facebook pages, they really follow our stories, and they really love what we do. So, you know, if everybody donated towards the fundraiser, you know, $10, you know, 4,000 times 10, that's, I don't even know, is that $40,000?
40,000.
Okay, there's our property.
Right.
You know, and I think everybody could do $10. And then from there, you know, we'll have to do it again. So if everybody just keeps donating $10, we have $5 Fridays. Every Friday we try to do. We ask people to give up their Starbucks coffee and or their beer for Friday night, and you know, donate the $5. And $5 adds up. It really does if everybody does it. So, you know, and we try to post as much as we can, even though, you know, sometimes it's just we don't have time. We try to post, you know, the dogs going in for their operations or coming out of their operations or whatever, you know, to show that they've been sterilized with our Spay a Day campaign.
Right.
You know, we're doing it. We are doing it, but it's, you know, it's a full-time job to show.
A lot of work.
Yeah, to show those pictures. And then it's a full-time job to answer people's questions that are writing. And it's a full-time job to thank everybody because we have our Amazon wish list. So people buy stuff on the Amazon wish list. And, you know, we get all kinds of amazing supplies that are desperately needed. And we want to say thank you to each and every person, but it's not possible. So we try our best, and we try to show them, what we're doing so everybody can see. And when I do have a moment, I try to write to each person to say thank you.
Well, one of the things that I love that you guys do is how visible you make everything, because like you say, you can't really reach out to everyone, but to so many, that's thank you enough, is just being able to see where their money's going.
Right. We try our best. And when people, write me a message and they ask me a question, or they, sometimes people will write, did you get the exercise pen? I sent it so long ago. And the problem with the Amazon wish list is that when it gets sent here, a lot of times if people don't put the message in, because there's a space to write a message who it's from.
Right.
A lot of times people just buy it and they send it here, and they think that they're the only ones buying the thing, And I open up a great box of great stuff, and I look, and there's nothing in there to say who it's from. And I feel so bad, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even thank them.
Right.
And then sometimes, we put a plea out on Facebook, and we ask for, certain things. Like right now we need puppy sweaters. The puppies are coming in, and we pick them up at the airport, and they're freezing, so we want to put a sweater on them as soon as they land, or if the sweaters get to Aruba, then, they can be in the little travel bag, and the transporter can put the sweater on when they get to the airport. So when we put a plea out like that, we'll get a lot of sweaters, which is wonderful, but, they'll all come in, and I won't know who sent them, especially when a lot come in. Or I don't have time to write back to, 20 different people to say thank you.
Well, here's your opportunity to say thank you to whoever you want.
Thank you to every single person that helps us. We appreciate it more than you could ever know. And every single thing that is sent, we use. And if the puppies could talk, they would all thank you so much. We're working with nothing. So if we don't get the donations that everybody's so generous by giving us, we can't do anything that we do. Nothing would work without the kindness of strangers, really. So we're hoping that the shelter, that's going to be our next stage. We did raise money for our rescue van last year.
Yeah, so tell me about your van, because I remember that fundraiser.
Yes. Natalia was riding in a little Jeep, or Jimmy Suzuki it was. It had no back. The puppies and adults, when she would take them to the vet, were, it was dangerous for her and for the animals. They would try to jump out. She would have to have them tied up to the seats and things. And, it wasn't big enough to put any kind of kennel or anything in it. It was just a nightmare. And, and she said to me, I just wish I could have a safe vehicle, just something safe. Nothing fancy, just safe. And I said, well, we have followers now, and they'll help us, we'll make a fundraiser.
Right.
And I really believed in it. She didn't really believe 100%, but I said, let's write something and explain our story. Let's show our story. Let's show your car, and let's show what we do. And we put it up, and we raised the money very, very quickly. And once it was raised, we bought a used van. And once we got it, we got our logos on it. And we had a lady that donated a lot to us. She has a jewelry company, which is actually right next to I Love Aruba. It's called Gemstones. And we put her logo on the side because she donated so much to us, and she's such an amazing animal lover. So she has a little sponsorship logo on the side. And we also have Douchey Designs, which is Stacy, who does our website. She also has a company called Douchey Designs, and she makes beautiful things with Aruba, different paintings and pillows and T-shirts and just everything. If you want to take a look at her website, too. She does a beautiful job. She's so creative.
Yes,
so,
I've seen it.
Yes.
There's some great stuff over there.
Yes, we've sold T-shirts and things, and she gives part of it goes towards the rescue. So she's just, an amazing lady. So she has her
Mm-hmm.
logo on the side as well. And then we have Aruba Flight Volunteers and New Life for Paws all over it. So you can see us coming.
Right.
When people want to meet, at the hotel, people bring stuff from home. They bring back our carry bags. A lot of times we need them to get back to Aruba. They bring leashes and collars and medicines and puppy milk and bottles and sweaters and just, so many things come, and we have to go pick them up a lot of times. So it's nice because they can see the van coming wherever they're
Mm-hmm.
waiting. So, we've had a lot of support, and I think now we will be able to build our shelter, which
Yeah.
is going to change our lives and change so many, puppies and kitties' lives too. And
Yes. I love seeing all the progress that you guys have made.
yes,
It's been a pretty short period of time.
yes, it has. People don't know I've been doing this since the early '80s, by
Mm-hmm.
myself. So
Right.
to have this all happen, it's like a dream becoming true before my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we started. I don't know if I mentioned this in my other podcast, but we have another Facebook page called Kanuku Friends. I don't know if I had mentioned that, but I'll mention it again for people that didn't hear about it.
Right.
This lovely man adopted a puppy, and he just came up with this idea that he wanted to put a page together called Kanuku Friends, where everybody that has adopted puppies from Aruba or any rescue, please too, could come together and ask questions and post
Mm-hmm.
pictures and find, their litter mates. Sometimes we have litters of 8, and they get adopted all over the place. And people can say, oh, I adopted from this litter, the flower puppies or the colony puppies or whatever we name the litter. And then other people
Mm-hmm.
will write in and say, oh my gosh, I have a sibling and I live in New York
Nice.
and I live in Connecticut, and wherever they live, and they post pictures and they compare how much they weigh and what they eat and what they're doing and
Mm-hmm.
where they go. And they've had reunions, and it's just really a very, very happy page. It's the
Mm-hmm. I'm a
happy
member of
ending.
that group.
You are good. So you get to see,
Yes.
right?
Right. I don't have a Kanuku dog, but
Yes.
I love looking at all the pictures.
Yeah. People that don't have also join, or people that are thinking to, adopt, join, and they ask questions, and you get to see all the pictures. And now with the holidays, Christmas time, you get to see the crazy pictures, the costumes they put them in for Halloween, and now the
Mm-hmm.
Santa hats and in front of the Christmas tree, and who ate the Christmas tree, and who,
Right.
peed on the Christmas tree, and whatever, it's really a lot of fun. It's the happy part of the whole rescue, is to see where all these puppies end up and how happy they are
Right. And that's what makes it all worth it.
and how much they're loved. You really, they're in wonderful homes. So it's really been good,
Yes.
and only going to
Yes.
get better. I think it's only going to get better as we grow.
And I look forward to seeing all the progress that's made from here on out.
Yes. Thank you. And thank you for always, reaching out so that we can keep telling our stories, so people can,
Yes.
the podcast I did about the flight volunteers, that helped me so much because, it helped me manage my time. Now when people message me and they say, I want to be a flight volunteer, I like the page, I see what you do, it's wonderful, can you tell me a little bit about what I have to do? I can say, I don't have a lot of time right now because I usually don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to send you my interview, and if you have other questions after listening to it, I'll be happy to help you. But I think it really covers everything, so then they'll listen to it, and then they'll call me or message me, and they'll say, I just listened, we're on board, we love it, we understand, we don't have any questions, we just need to know what time to meet, and that's it. And
Nice.
I'm like, wow, that is so wonderful, because I used to have to do that interview with each person,
Mm-hmm.
which that interview is like an hour long. So, that just helps me so much.
Right. I'm glad I could be of assistance.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I think
Yes, sir.
I think we covered it all.
Cool. Well, how can we get in touch with you to make donations or just to get in touch with you, offer support, transport, whatever?
Well, you can go on the webpage, which is newlifeforpaws.org, and up on the right-hand corner, there's a little tab that you click on, and it'll say you can fill out an application for the Flight Volunteers, which is just a really simple little application, your name and your record locator and what flight and date, so we can make arrangements if we have a puppy that can travel or a kitty. On the page also there's a link for the PayPal to just donate to PayPal. There's also a link to the You Caring, which is also a fundraiser but goes directly to the spaying and neutering. There is also an adoption application for the United States, an adoption application for local people. We have a lot of adults that need to be adopted as well. They're hard to get off the island. There's only one airline that will fly adults, so it's very hard to get them off. So we're going to try right now to do a campaign to get our adults adopted. We have probably about 8 of them right now that are beautiful. They're already sterilized. They have all their shots, and they're ready to be adopted, and they're such great, beautiful, healthy animals.
And where can we see pictures?
Also on the newlifeforpaws.org webpage, there's an adoption album that you can see. It'll show also some of the puppies that have been adopted too. There's videos. We did a lot of beautiful videos that are on YouTube also, showing different rescues. We had the Kia puppies that were rescued over by the jail. Kia is the jail. It's a beautiful video. It's maybe, I don't know how long it is, 7 minutes long, but Stacy made that. It's showing the rescue from the beginning to the end. 5 little puppies that were dumped in the garbage over by the jail. It's an amazing video to watch. And then we also have another video which you can see on the webpage that's called I Saved a Life Today, and it shows how people. It talks about being a flight volunteer and also about how New Life for Paws works and the different the day that Natalia has with rescuing all day long and getting to the vet and all the different emergencies and all the puppies, and it just shows her day, and it's narrated by a lady that was transporting a puppy. She wrote out the story while she was actually flying, so it's her story. It's beautiful. You know, you can really see what we do. So I highly recommend people just taking the time to watch.
Right, lots of information out there.
Yes. And, so everything is on the website on newlifeforpaws.org and also on our Facebook pages, New Life for Paws Facebook, which also has maybe almost 3,000 followers already, and Aruba Flight Volunteers with a little over 4,000 already, which I can't believe. So everything is there, and you can always reach out and send a message, and you can go on my personal Facebook page also. And if you want to put my email at the bottom of the podcast, you can do that. People can reach me directly. You can put my phone number. People can text me. I'm always available to answer questions.
Right, so you're really accessible.
Yes, always.
The only thing that I would say, though, is I would hope that anyone that does reach out to you looks at New Life for Paws, the website or the Facebook group first.
Yes.
So that way it deflects some of the questions that are already answered.
Exactly. Right. They can see, and they can also, watch those videos so they can see how busy we are.
Right. Right.
So a lot of times people get on the phone and they just want to, talk and ask a lot of questions, and I want to say, just look at what we do, Right. It'll help them with everything, understanding what we do. And also the tourists, need to understand that we can't just, people get angry. What kind of rescue are you? I'm standing here with 2 dogs that need help. When we have our shelter, we're going to be able to say we're coming, we're coming.
Right.
But right now, we can't. People call sometimes 10, 11 o'clock at night. They call Natalia, and she's just getting home sometimes that late at night from cleaning and doing everything. She's been at the vet, and, nursing dying dogs and bottle feeding newborn babies where their mother is not producing milk. Like, she's working like crazy, and then you get a phone call at 11 o'clock at night. Hi, I'm standing by the Hyatt. There's 4 dogs here. Can you come? I'll stand here and wait for you. And it's hard.
It's just not possible.
Yeah, it's just not possible, and they don't understand. They're like, well, you're a rescue. You got to bring them to your shelter. We know you have a shelter. We don't have a shelter like that, But hopefully we will.
One day you will.
One day we will. Yep, one day we will. I believe we will. Yes.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you, Marie, for joining me on One Happy Podcast again.
Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it.
Lots of great information out there. Thanks for all the work that you and your team do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It was great talking to you, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So there you have it for episode 73 of One Happy Podcast, checking in with Marie Gehrman of Aruba Flight Volunteers. Now, as you can see, Marie is extremely passionate about animal rescue, and she's made it her life's goal to see that every stray on the island gets taken care of. It's a lot of work, and it requires a lot of help. So, if you'd like to help, please do visit the New Life for Paws website or the Aruba Flight Volunteers Facebook group. She mentioned the web addresses for those organizations, but if you missed them, don't worry, because as always, I took the notes so that you don't have to. And they can be found at onehappypodcast.com/EP73. OneHappyPodcast.com is the flagship for all things podcast related, so please do head on over there and check it out. Also, make sure you check me out on Facebook and Twitter. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/OneHappyPodcast and on Twitter at ArubaKurt. Also, please do follow me on Instagram, and the name of that profile is One Happy Podcast. So there's lots of different ways to reach out and stay in the loop. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on a future episode, or if you'd like to suggest someone that you think would be a great guest, please do get in contact with me. You can do that by messaging me on any of the aforementioned social media profiles or the old-fashioned way of emailing. And my email address is kurt@onehappypodcast.com. That's Kurt with a C. We all have an Aruba story to share, and I would absolutely love to help you share yours. But in the meantime, peace, love, and Aruba, and hit the music.